Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what might be the most significant press conference in recent political history. Today we're diving deep into an exclusive sit-down where President Trump takes direct questions from reporters while addressing the escalating Iran situation, unveiling major policy changes, and revealing incredible transformations happening across America. This is breaking news that demands your immediate attention. Let's start with what's happening right now in Washington, D.C. When Trump took office just 15 months ago, the nation's capital was in crisis. Homeless encampments dominated the parks, the streets were unsafe, the iconic Lafayette Park, the entrance to the White House, was in shambles. But today, it's a completely different story. The transformation is nothing short of miraculous. Trump is particularly proud of the restoration of the Reflecting Pool project. This isn't just any renovation. This is a project that had failed for over 100 years. Since 1922, the Reflecting Pool has never worked properly. They built it, and it immediately failed. For more than a century, every attempt to fix it resulted in failure. But under Trump's administration, using innovative engineering and American ingenuity, they finally solved the problem. The Reflecting Pool is about to reopen, and it's going to be spectacular. Trump had the team select a color called American Flag Blue instead of the drab gray concrete that had defined it for decades. The pool stretches nearly 200 feet wide and over 2,500 feet in length. It's comparable in size to some of the world's tallest buildings laid horizontally. The Department of Interior did an amazing job, with Doug Burgum leading the effort with excellence. But here's what's truly remarkable. Trump is using a substance so strong and durable that it will last 50 to 100 years before requiring any maintenance. This is American excellence in action. The sidewalks surrounding the pool are being sandblasted to pristine condition. The granite is being treated with the same care. This entire project represents the kind of attention to detail and commitment to excellence that defines Trump's approach to governance. The Reflecting Pool isn't the only transformation happening in D.C. Trump has completely revitalized the nation's capital. The parks are now beautiful. The grass has been completely replaced after 70 to 80 years of deterioration. New grass has been planted. The homeless encampments are gone. The streets are safe. People are coming back to Washington, D.C. The restaurants that were closing down are now thriving and packed with customers. In just 15 months, Washington, D.C. has become a vibrant, beautiful city again. Trump is genuinely proud of this accomplishment, and rightfully so. He's transformed the appearance and safety of the nation's capital in an unprecedented time frame. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the Iran situation. This is where things get incredibly serious and complex. Trump has made it clear that under no circumstances can Iran be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. This is non-negotiable. This is the red line that cannot be crossed. Trump explains that negotiations with Iran have actually gone very well. There's a real possibility of reaching a ceasefire agreement, potentially even this weekend. But here's the crucial context. Trump has been hitting Iranian targets hard. Just the night before this press conference and continuing into recent days, American military forces have been conducting significant strikes against Iranian targets. When asked about the ceasefire, Trump provides a fascinating insight into Middle Eastern negotiations. He explains that in that part of the world, a ceasefire means shooting in a more moderate manner. It's a completely different concept than ceasefires in other parts of the world. This reflects the complex, nuanced reality of Middle Eastern geopolitics. Trump reveals that Iran has been reciprocating after America's strong military actions. But importantly, he notes that these actions were taken for specific reasons unrelated to the ceasefire negotiations. The military strikes were necessary and justified. However, Trump would prefer to reach a negotiated settlement rather than continue military escalation. Here's what's fascinating about Trump's approach. He's willing to use military force when necessary, but he genuinely prefers a diplomatic solution if one can be achieved. He's explained to his team that if they can get something in writing that accomplishes the same objectives without killing people, that's the preferable path. Most of his advisors agree with this approach, though some prefer continuing military operations. The nuclear deal negotiations are incredibly important. Trump terminated Obama's Iran nuclear deal in his first term, calling it one of the dumbest deals ever made. That deal gave Iran a clear path to nuclear weapons. Under Obama, America gave Iran billions of dollars, including $1.7 billion in cash flown to Iran in a Boeing 757, with the seats removed to make room for the money. Trump's New Deal is the exact opposite. Under Trump's agreement, Iran will never have nuclear weapons. They will not develop one. They will not buy one. This was negotiated carefully, with Trump pushing back on every loophole. When the original language only said Iran wouldn't develop nuclear weapons, Trump questioned what would prevent them from buying weapons. That led to a 2-week negotiation, but Trump got the language changed to include a prohibition on purchasing nuclear weapons as well. If Iran signs this agreement, they're committing to never having nuclear weapons under any circumstances. Trump is very close to getting Iran to sign. The negotiations have gone remarkably well, according to Trump's assessment. Now, here's something crucial that Trump emphasizes. Without the bombing campaign, this deal wouldn't work. Without the naval blockade, the deal wouldn't work. The blockade is incredibly powerful. Trump believes the naval blockade might actually have more impact than the bombing campaign. No ship has gotten through the blockade unless America allowed it. People respect American military power, and that respect is making the negotiations possible. Trump also addresses the issue of buried nuclear material under Iranian mountains. Last week, Trump mentioned that America would dig out buried nuclear material with Iranian cooperation. When asked about this, Trump clarifies that it's very difficult, but he still wants to do it. He explains that B-2 bombers recently obliterated the sites where this material is buried. The bombs were among the largest ever dropped. Using incredible technology, they followed a laser beam directly into the target and detonated with devastating force. The material is now buried under a mountain that virtually collapsed. It's extremely difficult to retrieve, but Trump wants to get it anyway. Trump notes that only America and possibly China have the equipment necessary to extract buried nuclear material from such difficult locations, but he doesn't want to risk American lives by sending personnel into dangerous territory while there's still active conflict. He remembers Jimmy Carter's problems with hostages in Iran and refuses to put American personnel in that kind of danger. However, once the conflict is resolved and the agreement is signed, Trump has agreed with Iran that America will go in, retrieve the material, and destroy it completely. It will be destroyed beyond any possibility of recovery. Trump also discusses opening the Strait of Hormuz. Immediately upon signing the Memorandum of Understanding, the Strait of Hormuz will open. America has already deployed underwater minesweepers to clear the strait. They've swept mines and gotten most of them. The strait will open very quickly after signing, possibly even immediately. Now let's shift to the domestic policy announcements that are equally significant. Trump has signed 2 major executive orders today. The first is a customs enforcement order that represents a fundamental change in how America approaches trade and border security. This is being called the trade equivalent of the border wall. Rodney Scott, the head of Customs and Border Protection, explains that this executive order applies the same America First principles that have worked so effectively on the southern border to international trade. Just as America has cracked down on illegal immigration and narcotics, this order will crack down on countries and companies undercutting American import-export rules and tariffs to undermine American businesses. The executive order will increase the amount of data available to make conscious decisions about what comes into the country. It will hold trade partners accountable for bringing threatening products and counterfeit goods into America. It represents a comprehensive approach to protecting American industry and American workers. Peter Navarro, Trump's trade advisor, estimates this executive order will result in at least $15 billion in savings in the first year, $25 billion in the second year, and potentially $80 to $100 billion in savings from stopping tariff evaders. This is a moneymaker for America. The executive order will also help crack down on fentanyl smuggling. Trump proudly announces that fentanyl coming into America has been cut by 59%. Nobody thought such a reduction was even possible, but it's been achieved. Trump plans to get it even lower. The second executive order addresses federal workforce reforms. Currently, many federal employees in policymaking positions are essentially unaccountable. It's almost impossible to fire a federal employee even for serious misconduct. This means agencies are stuck with incompetent or disloyal employees who actively work against the administration's agenda. James Shirk from the Domestic Policy Council explains that this executive order treats federal employees like private sector workers. They'll be hired based on merit and confidence, but if they're not performing, they can be removed quickly instead of taking a year to get rid of them. This ensures that policy-making positions are filled with people who are actually committed to the administration's goals. Now let's talk about the remarkable crime reduction achievements happening across America. Trump has implemented a strategy that focuses on removing the small percentage of criminals responsible for the vast majority of crime. The data is clear. 2% of the people create 90% of the crime. And this means you can dramatically reduce crime by removing that 2%. In Washington, D.C. alone, Trump's administration has removed close to 5,000 hardline criminals. Many of these criminals came into the country through Biden's open border policies. By removing them, Washington, D.C. has become dramatically safer. Memphis, Tennessee has seen crime reduced by approximately 72%. The governor of Tennessee came to Trump to thank him for what was accomplished in Memphis. He said it's like a completely different city now. In New Orleans, Louisiana, Trump sent in talented personnel and National Guardsmen to address the city's serious crime problem. The result? New Orleans just had the safest Mardi Gras celebration in its history. They ended the operation about 3 weeks ago after achieving remarkable success. Trump believes he could accomplish similar transformations in Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and other crime-ridden cities. But there's a catch. He needs the support of local governors and mayors. You can't fix a city if the leadership doesn't want it fixed. Trump can't work with leaders who are content to let people get murdered. In Chicago, for example, the city lost 5 or 6 people to violence last week, and the leadership seemed fine with it. Trump says he could make Chicago incredibly safe and prosperous. But the longer the crime crisis continues, the harder it becomes to fix. The city has tremendous potential, but it's being wasted under current leadership. Trump did speak with the mayor of San Francisco, who is a liberal but genuinely wants to make the city better. The mayor is trying hard, but Trump believes he could do it much faster and much better. Important people asked Trump to give the mayor a chance, so Trump is allowing the mayor to attempt the transformation first. Now let's address Trump's broader vision for America. Trump is incredibly proud of what's been accomplished in his first term and in these early months of his second term. America has gone from being a laughingstock to being the most respected country in the world. Trump just returned from China, where President Xi told him that America is now respected all over the world, and that Trump did it incredibly fast. The stock market is at an all-time high. People's 401k accounts are at record levels. Costs are coming down. Trump inherited the highest inflation and highest costs in American history, and he's bringing them down. When Trump took office, he was facing a critical choice. America had just hit the greatest stock market in history. Everyone's 401ks were at all-time highs. Costs were coming down. Everything was good. But Trump knew he had to take a detour and address Iran, preventing them from developing nuclear weapons. Trump spoke with financial experts like Peter Navarro, Scott, and Howard. He explained that despite the incredible economic performance, America had to address the Iran threat. Everyone understood the necessity, and Trump made the difficult decision to proceed with military action. The remarkable thing, the stock market hit another all-time high today, despite ongoing military conflict. This demonstrates American economic strength and investor confidence in Trump's leadership. Trump's overarching message is encapsulated in his slogan, "Make America Great Again." He believes this is the greatest phrase in the history of the world. It's not just an American concept, it resonates globally. MAGA represents a return to American strength, respect, and prosperity. Trump has transformed the Republican Party. When he arrived, it was a different party. Now it's much bigger, much more powerful, and much more impactful. The party's ideology and approach have changed significantly over the past decade. It's a much more dynamic and effective party. Trump also addresses the issue of weaponization of government against political opponents. During the Biden administration, many Americans were victimized by weaponized government institutions. People were jailed for long periods. They were accused of things that never happened. They had radical prosecutors pursuing them. Their lives were destroyed and their families were destroyed. Trump himself experienced this weaponization. His home at Mar-a-Lago was raided, something that had never happened to a former president before. It turned out to be completely fake and corrupt. Trump has all the information and plans to release it in the coming weeks. Some of it people won't even believe. Trump emphasizes that the people who were victimized by weaponization deserve justice and vindication. The fake news media, particularly CNN and the New York Times, participated in this weaponization. They abused good people who were simply exercising their rights. Trump points out that CNN has new ownership, which might help, but he's skeptical that it will significantly improve their reporting. The organization has a long history of false reporting and bias. Trump also discusses the dangers of communism and leftist policies. He notes that communism always starts with popularity but inevitably leads to violence, destruction, and squalor. You can see this happening in cities like New York, Los Angeles, parts of California, Chicago, and San Francisco. Trump explains that he could easily win over voters by promising free rent, free houses, free food, and free everything. But that model inevitably fails and leads to death, destruction, and squalor. Free enterprise is harder to sell, but it's what made America great. Trump is particularly critical of New York's mayor, though he acknowledges the mayor is a nice person. Trump doesn't understand why the mayor would allow hundreds of millions of dollars in annual tax revenue to leave the city by driving out major companies. Without a tax base, the city will inevitably end up in hunger, squalor, and destruction. Trump also criticizes the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago. He calls them stupid and dumb. He knows the Illinois governor personally and considers him an outcast in his own family and a slob. Trump believes Chicago has tremendous potential and could become great again, but it needs leadership that's willing to take action against crime. Trump explains his philosophy on giving away free things versus promoting free enterprise. He says he would be the greatest in the world at giving away free things. Nobody would ever be as generous as he could be. But eventually that model fails. Free enterprise is tougher to sell, but it's what actually works. If Trump hadn't been elected, he believes America wouldn't have a country. The country would be finished. But because of his leadership, America is now thriving. Trump concludes by expressing his gratitude for the opportunity to serve and his pride in the accomplishments achieved. He's transformed Washington, D.C. from a crime-ridden, beautiful city into a safe, vibrant, beautiful place. The reflecting pool will open within hours, and people will see something they haven't seen since 1922. The parks are open, the grass is beautiful, there are no homeless encampments. Washington, D.C. is like a completely different place. Restaurants are thriving. The city is vibrant. Trump is honored to have been able to accomplish this transformation for America's capital. This press conference reveals a president who is simultaneously managing international military conflicts, negotiating nuclear deals, implementing transformative domestic policies, and delivering tangible results that improve Americans' lives. Whether you agree with his policies or not, the scope of activity and the pace of implementation are remarkable. The Iran situation remains fluid and potentially volatile, but Trump's approach combines military strength with diplomatic pragmatism. The customs enforcement order represents a significant shift in trade policy that could have far-reaching economic implications. The federal workforce reforms could fundamentally change how government operates, and the crime reduction achievements demonstrate that targeted, focused policies can produce measurable results. This is a press conference that will be analyzed and debated for months to come. It touches on international relations, military strategy, trade policy, domestic governance, crime reduction, economic policy, and political philosophy. It's comprehensive, detailed, and reveals a president deeply engaged with every aspect of his administration's work. For those who support Trump, this press conference demonstrates effective leadership and tangible accomplishments. For those who oppose him, it provides material for criticism and debate. But regardless of political perspective, the scope and significance of what's being announced cannot be ignored. The reflecting pool opening, the Iran negotiations, the customs enforcement order, the federal workforce reforms, and the crime reduction achievements all represent major developments that will impact America's future. This is breaking news that deserves serious attention and analysis.